get scared now.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Cinderella story, out of nowhere.
It's in the hole!
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Capital hacking begins in 3, 2, 1.
Yes, baby.
Every time we hear it. Now, this happens to be the very first episode of all
Number
time
one.
of the world famous, in the future it will be. I can fast forward to the future. I've watched a lot of DeLorean time travel. My name is Josh McCallen. Thankfully and gratefully, the host of Capital Hacking with our incredible friend and great co-host. Go ahead, Erik.
Erik Cabral, hello, coming at you live.
So I love the terminology live when you're talking about podcasting.
Because at some point, everything is live, isn't it?
Hey, man, we're alive. I'm alive. You're alive.
Very true. Very true. So that was Josh's first time experiencing the full Capital Hacking intro. What'd you think, man?
Jeez. Guys, there's no way to describe what it feels like when you spend 6 months preparing for this day.
Even longer. This was a germ of an idea that you had
Oh,
longer.
for me, a year. For
Yeah.
you, 6 months.
For me, 6 months. Yeah. But it was funny because literally last night, we were going back and forth. We had about 3 to 4 versions of it that you haven't heard.
Oh, that's so good.
And the team was working hard behind the scenes to get it out. And I said, that's the one right there. I was like, I want to hear it again.
Let's promise the audience, which is an incredibly large and growing audience already.
Yes.
I can hear people signing up right now on iTunes podcast. But anyway, let's promise the audience, you and I, that we will, in a future episode, go line by line and explain why you and I painstakingly chose that intro. But not now. Let's
no,
tease
not
it
now.
out.
Yeah. But there's certain, everything is deliberate. Every little
every part
quote,
of it.
every little soundbite has meaning. Yeah. But my favorite one is always a callback to Spider-Man.
Amen, brother. I hope people heard that in there.
Yeah. Yours is probably Caddyshack, but
It was Caddyshack until the Macaulay Culkin part got in there. Here we are teasing out too much. Wait till the episode called the intro description.
Ooh, I like that one. Okay, so what's today's episode about, Mr. Josh?
Okay, well, thanks for asking, Erik. We have to define what we're doing here. First and foremost, we're here to serve. It's amazing when you serve in any capacity, you learn. So I hope, Erik, you join me and you are excited about the learning and the education we're going to receive as your hosts, as your fellow students of what capital hacking truly is.
I'm along for the ride. I'm on the bus. I'm on the
Amen,
train.
brother. By the way, we will introduce Mr. Erik Cabral. We'll do a brief introduction of ourselves.
Yes.
And we will keep this one. There's so many things to debate in our first episode. So first things first, I'm going to say first episode at least 15 more times. Why? Because in the future, fast forward, it's 10 years from now. 552 episodes have been done, roughly, maybe. And here's what happened. It became a worldwide sensation. And Capital Hacking is not only honestly one of the better podcasts on iTunes. I hate to be judgmental, but you are worthy of that, Erik, to be the top-ranked podcaster.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So not only has that come to fruition now, it's 10 years in the future. I just got in a DeLorean recently. Drove back to time to just help make sure.
So what is it now? It's 2030?
No, we're doing this all very bad. It's 2029. You and I are messing up the mathola. Okay, here's the point. It's 2029. The DeLorean it's a little cold when you get out.
Yeah.
Like when you go through time, it freezes the back
yes,
pipes.
the DeLorean is not hot. It's cold.
Okay, so capital hacking has become something that is beautiful. What it is a way for people. This is the future, guys, just so you know. This is the future. In the future, people enjoy it because first of all, it's incredibly educational. There's tips and talents and techniques, and there's introductions to things that help people make more money, which is a good thing. But their lives become more and more fulfilled. So they end up creating, you'll love this, they ended up creating a network online. The best representation in the year 2019 of what capital hacking will be in the year 2029 is Bigger Pockets. No disrespect. We love them with all our heart. As a matter of fact, it's my favorite website and podcast, and we emulate them.
Right.
We want to be like Bigger Pockets. So in 10 years, it's a worldwide network of great people helping each other grow. And helping each other find ways to raise capital, to utilize their own human capital better. It's beautiful. Can't wait for that 10th year anniversary.
Yeah, because I know you're a proponent of first episodes being listened to over and over. I often skip them, which to Josh's surprise, I don't even go back in time. I just listen to the latest one, and then I go backwards from there. But I guess I'm weird like that, where some people like to read the end of a book first. I don't do that, but some people, it's that type of thing.
It's good. See, this is the dynamism. We're going to learn from each other. For me, I always hit the first podcast. So what happens for me, and I hope this is good for you guys on the radio, we're listening to we'll share with you some of our top 5 podcasts that we enjoy listening to. For me, I think my first ever real podcast I fell in love with was Real Estate Radio Guys, which is not a pop culture one. It's a real estate investment focused podcast. But boy, those guys, they put their heart into it. They learn their subject matter. They teach beautifully. Yeah. And they're authentic guys. I've actually got to meet Robert Helms and Russell Gray. So I personally emulate them. Okay, brother? Yeah. Okay, so then, of course, we've already mentioned Bigger Pockets. Mm-hmm. Now, you're going to have to say 1 or 2. I'm going to go to 3. I can get to 3. Sure, you give 2 more.
I have plenty.
Here's the next one. So Bigger Pockets, of course, Brandon Turner, Josh Dorkin, David Green now. Mm-hmm. Holy man, is that a high-quality podcast. Yeah, good stuff. The energy, the support, the positive attitude. There's a lot. I learn every time I listen to it. And then number 3 for me is Tim Ferriss. I hate to put him in the 3rd ranking. Yeah. But it's hard to listen to 2.5 hours of podcasting. If it wasn't for the 2.5 hours, I would probably put him higher. Yeah. He's not a proponent of chopping them up. He just puts it all out there. He's a great interviewer.
And that's edited though. That's him editing. So
holy macaroni.
Yeah. Imagine how long the real episode was. And you know what's interesting about Tim? He has a very intimate and close relationship with a lot of his guests, as I'm sure we will too. But like I'm talking, they go in like the steam room, and they go, yeah, he has like
on his podcast.
Well, yes, he did it once where they went into, I think he has a steam room, in his house or outside, because I remember him talking about stepping out into the cold, and they were recording. I get it. But anyway, it's a little fun and weird, but.
Well, then you need to give 2 more podcasts to round out our top 5.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you on Tim Ferriss. I listen to him all the time. But one of the first podcasts that I got into that sort of reaffirmed my spark, my entrepreneurial engine, was a show called Startup. And it's by Gimlet Media. The guy, his name escapes me right now, but he's the one that started This American Life. Okay. He was one of the hosts, and he started Gimlet Media, and they have dozens and dozens of great podcasts. So Startup is a really good one. And it was kind of meta because he was recording the podcast while he was building that company. So it didn't even have a name yet. Gimlet wasn't even a thing. So it's like, imagine we started recording in Capital Happy, and it didn't exist.
By the way, the true fulfillment of capital hacking doesn't yet exist.
True. So, right. It will evolve.
Simultaneous. We're going to do this together with an audience of thousands.
Yes, thousands and thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands. And I would say my second, Bigger Pockets was huge for me. That brought me back to podcasts, right? Listening. Okay. I had a long commute at the time, and I absorbed all of that. And that's how I got into real estate investing. It really gave me the confidence. Lately, I've been listening to my buddy, you heard him on the show, Jason Feifer's Problem Solvers. It's tight. They're 25-minute episodes, which we're going to be shooting for here, but I'm sure we'll be spilling over from time to time. But it's unique when compared to other podcasts, the way he structured it. It's like reading an article. Wow. Yeah. It's really good. Good stuff.
Okay, so now we have to explain why Erik knows every famous person in this country. Is because he runs a famous podcast called The Entrepreneur's Circle, which give the guy some credit. The guy's a master branding genius. Not only is he a good dude, but he came up with Entrepreneur's Circle, which then, because of its name value, helps you find new and bigger audiences every week, plus the content. Yeah. But people are probably tagging you before they even get a chance to listen to you because you came up with the world's best podcast name.
Oh,
and then the content delivers, buddy. You do a phenomenal job.
I appreciate that. And everyone. And what's fun is now you and I are getting out there in the circles and networking with different groups, and the dynamic now is funny because we'll meet entrepreneurs and business owners. And remember, we were out the other
yes,
night.
we were.
And we met, multimillionaires that buy and sell and start businesses. And you introduced me to the owner and CEO of Fluber. And you said, hey, this guy's going to be on our show. And I was like, oh, Entrepreneur Circle? You're like, no, capital hacking. I'm like, we're going to have to fight now. Like, we're going to have dual guests, dueling
I'm the
banjo
beneficiary of you being a worldwide famous podcaster. We get to help jumpstart the Capital Hacking Podcast.
Yes.
I could not be more grateful to you.
Yeah.
So those are some great podcasts. We emulate them. So now we have to step back, if you don't mind, and define what is capital hacking. And we all deserve an explanation here. Okay, just because we have a phenomenal logo and a killer intro doesn't mean you should listen. No, maybe you should just because of that. But here's what capital hacking is to us, okay, guys? We're not all born with the same amount of money in our family's bank account. We're not all born with the same talents, but we're all born with something deeper, and it's a beautiful dignity we have. So I always find it empowering to see how each person actualizes their own power. So what my point is, I enjoy watching people like my own children or you, Erik, as you built out an empire. You put together 3 things that I call capital. Forgive me for saying I. We call capital. We went and we had to look it up on the Wikipedias, okay? The Wikipedias, and I'm just kidding, it's Wikipedia, defines capital this way. Capital is wealth in the form of money or other assets available for a particular purpose, such as starting a company. I like to say, or such as turning what is in your brain into, reality. So capital, to me, is all about the power of creating action. As the definition on Wikipedia says, it's not just the money. So here's how we define it, guys. We say there's 3 types of capital, and we all have the ability to maximize each. When we combine them perfectly, we really have power. So capital, look, the first one that most people think of is cash capital. I'll call it cash capital. We have bank accounts, and some of us have more, some of us have less. Each of us need to use some of that to get started, absolutely. But is that the most powerful capital? I don't think so. We personally think there's 2 other capital forms of capital, 2 gigantic pillars of capital that we all have. And it's up to your heart and your head to decide how wealthy you are. So we think the one you'll hear it all the time in media. It's called human capital, and the third one I like to call time capital, or you could call it energy capital. So for me, human capital means to a big Fortune 100 or Fortune 50 like you used to work for. Maybe you were Fortune 10. You were part of major companies.
At least 100, but yeah.
Yeah. So for them, they call human capital everybody that works there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. I think it's a little richer than that. It means that all our creative power coming together, our talents, you can call that human capital. We all have some, and we all have different levels of it. And really the third part, the energy and the time, is how you actualize this. So yes, we all need some cash capital, but nobody listening to this should worry whether you have $150 in your bank account or $150 million, as some of the people we meet have, and that's powerful. You both could achieve startup.
Yeah.
Now you could start up companies, but there's many other types of beginnings and building.
Yeah.
And we're here to maximize that.
And I want to point out, and thank you for defining that in a very clean and concise and orderly way. I want to point out to the audience that Josh is that. He is the epitome of someone who, white collar. You grew up. I don't know if you want to talk about,
Blue collar?
you blue collar. You didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth.
That's like fair point.
You worked your way up and killed yourself to get to where you are. So I don't know if you want to speak to that or just give a little bit of
introduce
taste.
each other, but yeah.
But yeah, because I think that's key. Like everyone who's listening, anyone who's out there that hasn't really invested or they're thinking about jumping in the game, Josh at some point was like everyone. He was right.
Well, okay. So Erik is very, very kind. It is true that cash capital, let's say that was never in the cards for us growing up. We grew up pretty poor, very, very lovely little mom who was struck down with a stroke at age 27, never worked again. and happily, was a wonderful woman. So we've always had a happy home, but no money, no cash. So we've always worked. But to that end, and then my father, of course, that many families, the father and the mother have a separation when they're real young, and so yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It was me and my good brother Peter, and we worked our asses off through grade school and high school. We were always hustling, right? We were always hustling to find $1. And I do think that's good for everybody. Everybody needs to hustle, whether you're the richest guy in the room or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Oh, the light.
Yeah,
Sorry. Guys, you would not believe the production quality here is world class. And as we said, this is the first capital hacking. And I can't imagine how it's going to get any better with the quality of production in this room. It is phenomenal.
Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, we've definitely 10x'd what we're doing here in the studio. Especially, shout out to Jack. Thank you for helping us here. This is great.
Thank you, Jack.
But yeah, continue.
Well, you know what? I want to step back for just a minute. And I know, Eric, you might have a story or two about when you've been able to achieve some capital hacking. But let's go back to when this all started burning in my heart. And thank you for helping me realize it. We were really impressed with a guy named Tim Ferriss. We've shared with you a minute ago. His podcast is incredible. It is 2.5 hours. I looked it up last night, and it was the most recent one was 2 hours,
really?
45 minutes.
Wow.
So, Tim, I can't wait to get you on the show. We will not probably go that long unless you choose to have it go that long, because you are Tim Ferriss.
And if you do decide to go that long, we'll chop it into 3 episodes.
That would actually be great. 3 Tim Ferrisses. Yeah, so, Tim, we'll get back to you. Okay, I know you're always calling us to get on capital hacking, but no, we read Tim Ferriss's book. Do everybody know who Tim Ferriss is? He's that guy. I don't know, in the year 2008 or maybe 2006.
Oh,
it was 06, I think it was.
Has it been that long?
He came up with the terminology he wrote a book called 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah.
And that always was a surprising title to me because I like to work. I don't need a 4-hour work week.
Yeah, it's deceiving. It's not really the message in the book.
It's not.
It's not. But I mean, it is an attention grabber, right? It works. Everybody bought it.
Worldwide bestseller.
It built his empire. But it's not about being lazy or about shortcuts, right? It's not
maximization.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Okay, so there you go, guys. That's what we mean by hacking, because in that book, he really trained my mind to think about being a life hacker. So he wants you to take the time you work and make it really, really efficient so that you can actually begin to live a life that is rich. So he calls that life hacking, and I'm sure other people might have had that term before, but I give him 100% credit for that terminology. And you hear it everywhere now.
Yeah.
He's got an empire, so we'll talk about him some other time. But that gave us, we said, if that's life hacking, what Tim did, maybe there needs to be a 2.0 version. What happens after you realize your life is worth being fulfilled? And that's kind of what he's getting at. He's saying work efficiently, make revenue for your family and yourself, and live, embrace life, and really savor it. Totally, I really respect that. So what is capital hacking? So capital hacking, I'll call it the life hacking 2.0. We're here. You and I are fun-loving dudes. We have beautiful families. We have wonderful lives, thank God, because we have wonderful wives, all right? But we must provide for them. So how can you and I maximize what we provide for our family? And I think this is what we're going to study every week. We're going to study how to maximally, efficiently, and powerfully use our capital. We only have, maybe we can define more capital, but right now I'm calling it 3. Cash capital, time capital, and human capital, which is our time and talent. So how do we maximize that to provide for our family and to fulfill our life and the lives of those around us? I can't wait to capital hack with you, buddy.
Yeah, me too. And I can't wait to share this mindset and this culture with all of our beautiful listeners. And like you said, in 2029, we're speaking to you in 2029. So, yeah, looking forward to it, brother.
So to wrap here, I think the best is yet to come. We appreciate you guys joining this worldwide phenomena. We appreciate you liking and subscribing to our podcast. By the way, a 5-star review today would not hurt our feelings.
Absolutely.
It really wouldn't, okay? Because a lot of us are listening to this podcast. It's amazing how many 3 of us have already listened to this podcast.
Yes, and you know, it's growing, always growing. But yes, as to second what Josh is saying, always like, subscribe, and share this podcast, Capital Hacking, with your friends, your family, anyone who you think will benefit from this content and the value that we're providing. And yeah, please,
Eric. Maybe here's one way. By the way, in the first few episodes, we're going to test things. So maybe there's a way to sign off at the end.
Yeah,
like Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need our little sign off lingo. Which
so Spider-Man was a powerful movement for you and I.
Yeah, it was. You know, with great power, right?
With great power comes great responsibility. We'll leave you with that, and every week your power will grow, and you will have more and more fun with your responsibility. Ciao.